the debate, and we have a great journey for We Are Smart Academy, because it's the first time that we do a debate like this in open for everybody online. So I hope that we will have a good discussion and some information who will give a view on this world of air food. So I'm very happy to have with me Philippe Pelletier and Charline and Ine de Smet and René and Mario. We are waiting still for Dragan, who is in Sweden, and I hope he will come. But so maybe we can ask to the ladies first to give us in 1 minute a little bit information of what are they doing and why they are with us in this debate. Charline?
Yeah. So hi everyone, I'm Charline Tassin. I work for Thalys in the marketing team, and especially on all of our onboard services that we offer in the train. And today I will only speak about the catering services that we offer in our premium class.
Okay. Ine?
Hi everyone, my name is Ine de Smet, and I'm a young passionate woman who likes to talk about sustainability and to act upon this matter as well. I am working currently at the company Too Good To Go. It's an application that is fighting food waste. So our mission is to fight food waste every day, not only because it has an enormous ecological impact, but also it's very unfair on a social level. And so this is my mission, and in my day-to-day life, sustainability is very important as well.
Okay, thank you, Ine. Philippe?
Hello, I'm Philippe Pelletier. I'm the catering manager for Luxair, Luxembourg Airlines, and we are in charge of course, catering for the airline and the tour operator, and we have aside some kindergartens and company restaurants.
Okay. And René?
Donc moi, René Mathieu, je suis chef de cuisine restaurant La Distillerie à Luxembourg et co-auteur du projet de Luxair, justement, avec Philippe et Mario.
So, okay, I understand that you both are working together. My first question is going to Charline. You are responsible for the team who is making the choices for the onboard food on Thalys, the red train. Thalys took 3 years ago the big decision to create the possibility to eat nearly 100% plant-based for premium passengers. So what is the outcome of 3 years of experiences?
Yeah, so since the creation of Thalys, we have always offered vegetarian meals, so it was not a complete new subject for us. However, we observed that the demand for veggie option was increasing over the past few years. So in order to meet the demand that we had from our passenger, we worked a lot with our caterers to create vegetarian recipes that are actually attractive for everyone and not only for vegetarian passengers. And also last year we changed our breakfast concept in order to be more aligned with the trends. So now we are proud to say that we can offer a vegetarian option no matter what is the time that the passengers travel, which was not the case before. And also one of the challenges that we had when we took that decision, like work more around the fruits and vegetables, it was to introduce more plant-based menus from the starter to the dessert. which is combined with carefully select the produce and who you work with, so local producer, and to ensure high quality because we have high volume, so we need constant quality for the passenger. So that's all the challenges that we had.
And can you give us some figures of choices of the passengers? How many people are taking this 100% plant-based food?
Yeah, so 10 years ago, we had only 10% of our offer that were taking veggie option, which was quite low. In 2016, we increased the veggie parts to 40%, and at the end of the same year, we decided to go further and to increase the proportion to 50%. Okay. And now more than half of our menus are at least vegetarians, and some of them are vegan. And if we look more into the passenger choice, we see that the French market usually is more meat lovers, so the parts are a bit less. But on the Dutch market, on the other hand, they are quite open for that change, and usually they are our test market, and we can go higher in the ratio.
Okay, and people are happy? What is that the percentage of satisfaction?
Yeah, they're happy. We have increased by 4 points the satisfaction for the past 3 years. So we are now around 80%.
Okay, thank you so much. And Philippe, what was your motivation, what was the motivation of Luxair to go on this way, to make this big step?
Yes, really big step, a huge one, probably. But the first trigger was to change completely the offer that we propose to our passengers, and to take the move just to be more in the trend and stay at the quality level, which is one of the markers of the company. So we aggregate the project with the training of staff from kitchen, and the idea was to ask René if he would agree to support us in the path to vegetable culture. And at that moment, we had a joint venture, very interesting, for the development of that menu and the training of our people, because it's know we don't have. Or we don't add, because catering, airline catering, and it's like for the train, I suppose, has nothing to do with a restaurant kitchen. It's something very industrial. Everything is counted, weighted. Each gram has a place in the receipt, so it's very industrial. And we had to catch the know-how from René and his team, to plug into our way of production, and at the end to propose to our customers something a bit select, nice, and in the trend. So yes, it was a big challenge, but it was a nice challenge, and I guess we succeeded.
And what is the kind of people who are taking these lunches or dinners?
Only business passengers. So roughly speaking, these people are travelers that go for a connection somewhere, from an airport to another airport, to take a long flight to the States, or I would say China, or people doing business in London City, Geneva, Milano, Roma, and so on. So we have two categories of people, but they are only businessmen.
Okay, and Luxair, because you are not alone, I think, to make this decision. You are still happy with the decision?
Yes, yes. We propose the move as caterer because this is our mission, and we onboarded the board, and they made the final decision, because as you may imagine, there is a financial impact in. And we need to have the buy-in from the management for this. So it was a great go, and the result is a great success for our passengers and for the team that prepared the meals.
Okay, so the reaction is positive. So you are
Yes,
happy
completely.
about it. And there were no people who said, "What's happening? We don't understand."
No, they were very astonished because it was something fresh, new in the trend with an emblem such as René. It's very easy to catch people and to have them on board. So it was a night venture, and we will go ahead with it.
Yeah, so it's a long-term project.
I guess.
Okay, okay. I see that Dragan is with us now. So welcome, Dragan.
Thank you. Sorry for being a little bit late. Thank you.
You were on a flight or so? So
thank you.
Dragan, now we just explained a little bit who is who, and maybe you can give some information about yourself.
Of course. My name is Dragan. I'm executive chef here here in Sweden, and I work as a consultant. Due to Corona pandemic, I was more or less forced to leave Singapore and Singapore Airlines to come back to Europe, where I don't regret it because everything is really locked down over there. So now I'm here and doing consultancy for hotel and restaurant and actually airline as well. So.
Okay, okay. We come back to you after René.
Thank you.
René,
Oui.
what was the concrete instruction of Luxair when you started up this project?
Peut-être que Mario, tu peux répondre. Mario, il est plus facile que moi en anglais.
Okay.
Voilà, vas-y Mario.
So the project with Luxair was to build a mostly vegetable menu for the business class starting in 2019. So René developed like several menus around different seasons with the different local produce. So the idea is to have a vegetarian, even vegan based and lactose intolerant and gluten intolerant menu, which would improve, of course, all the questions asked on board with the passengers. The purpose was to use local produce as much as possible and being very seasonable.
And when you're talking about 80-20, what does it mean for you, for the way you work for the creator plates?
Shall I respond to you, René?
Oui, vas-y, réponds.
Okay, so the 80-20 is a philosophy that René also supports enormously, and that is that we eat too much protein in the philosophy, and the idea is to use 80% vegetable-based, plant-based, and 20% protein. That is what we consider as a perfect balance.
But it's for all. You have also 100% plant-based dishes. And what is the percentage? How many choices you have in only plant-based?
The choices are limited because in the restaurant, for example, the place, the Michelin restaurant where René is the head chef, it's we propose a purely vegetable menu, 100%, where we do the opposites. Normally you choose a vegetable as a side dish. What we're going to do, what René does actually in his restaurant, is to use one protein as a side dish or maybe nothing. If the client absolutely wants to eat some protein, we can offer him something that is local. Otherwise, we push the vegetable, and the client is always surprised.
But in the Luxair project?
In the Luxair project, we also pushed mostly all vegetable because of the direction Luxair wanted to please a lot of passengers. They also chose like a possible choice of a meat, a fish, or poultry.
Okay.
But it was very small. It was like maybe, I would say 10% of the dish was maybe protein based or even less.
And René, I don't know, it's you or Mario will respond, but when you are creating these dishes for the food in the air, are there special things you have to to look for? Is it differently than in the restaurants?
I'll just maybe René also speak a little bit, so he can. I can translate afterwards. But René,
Comment dis-tu?
Quelles sont les particularités pour faire des menus en vol comparé à non-vol?
Pour la particularité, c'est qu'il faut sortir de sa zone de confort dans laquelle on a l'habitude de travailler chaque jour. Et il faut c'est complètement différent en fait. Parce que la perception des goûts, des saveurs en altitude est complètement différente. Donc il a fallu aussi jouer beaucoup là-dessus. Mais je veux dire que c'est très bénéfique aussi pour l'après. En tout cas pour nous, c'était très bénéfique parce qu'on a dû travailler avec beaucoup de précision. Et ça, c'était pas dans nos habitudes qu'on faisait ici, quoi. Donc on n'a pas cette habitude, on est précis, mais pas au gramme près, quoi. Donc ça valait aussi le détour de ce travail avec Luxair.
Absolutely. So, translated in English, it means that René was from the point that we were taking out of our comfort zone. Nothing is the same when you make a menu in the air than a menu on the earth, on the ground, because all the pressure and the air and all of this makes the tasting and the smelling completely different. So it was a challenge for us, but it also brought us out of our comfort zone. So we had to think and we had to go further than we were usually going. So it taught us a lot as well.
Je pense que pour créer de tels menus, il faut qu'il y ait une équipe aussi sur place qui ait les capacités de le faire, qui soit attentif, qui soit à l'écoute. Et on est tombé aussi sur une équipe extraordinaire qui était le Catering de Luxair. Donc je pense qu'avec eux, c'était quand même beaucoup plus facile.
So for us, it was a big challenge, and thanks to the team of Luxair Catering, which is used to all of this, we could work perfectly and seamlessly together to match the perfect menu in the air, actually.
Nous, on peut amener toutes les idées, on peut amener tout, mais voilà, après, il faut aussi qu'il y ait le côté aussi exécutif du menu, ça doit rester cohérent en tout et de pouvoir arriver à faire quelque chose d'original et qui sort de l'ordinaire complètement. Et là, pour nous, c'était une réussite par rapport à ça.
So we could suggest different things, different tastes, different mixes, different sauces, and the executive team of Luxair was there as well to guide us, to help us, to work with us, so that the end product was actually in a very good status and perfectly achieved.
Okay. And how many times you are changing the menus?
René, combien de fois est-ce qu'on a changé le menu?
On a fait chaque fois sur les saisons, hein, donc c'était printemps-été et puis automne-hiver. Donc
Okay.
c'est deux séries en fait. Et ça aussi, c'était aussi un aspect qui était très intéressant par rapport à avant de ce qu'ils avaient, c'était voilà, de pouvoir respecter les saisons. Au moins donner cette impression qu'on était dans des saisons différentes quand on prenait le vol au printemps ou en été, ou en automne ou en hiver. Et ça aussi, c'était pas facile non plus de gérer.
Tout à fait. So there's two seasons. There's a spring, summer, and an autumn, winter menu in Luxair. So there we try to keep it as much seasonal as possible. So we try to do actually within the season, we try to see what vegetables and products were coming out in the beginning and the end, in order to get like as much possible seasonal products and the menu.
Je pense qu'ils nous ont fait pleine confiance aussi. Ça a permis aussi de la facilité aussi d'avancer. On n'a jamais été calé par un problème ou quoi que ce soit. Donc on nous a quand même donné carte blanche. On a quand même fait les testings, etc. Et c'était quand même chaque fois quelque chose qui était très enrichissant pour les équipes aussi qui sont sorties de leur confort habituel. Et la même chose pour nous.
There was an enormous confidence that was given from Luxair to Maroots, us to develop these menus together. And I think what I appreciated as well a lot was the great communication and the perfectly working together with their understanding and our suggestions. And it was really an enriching collaboration.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. We go to Dragan now. Happy to be in Sweden, I understand. But what was your experience with Singapore Airlines then when we are speaking about plant-based food?
First of all, I will say that the amount of food produced by SATS in Singapore was about 50,000 portions per day. So trying to be in season is, I would say, almost impossible for most of the routes. Second thing is that people in Asia are very conservative, so they still like to have their food the way they always used to be. But we work very hard on some routes, especially the US flights and some of the European flights, to be more updated. It's very hard to bring in plant-based food, for example, on the China routes or for Japan. They are very conservative. They like the food the way they always used to.
But they are not already in plant-based, because in those countries you have already a lot of people who are, I thought, plant-based or veggies.
Absolutely. I mean, vegetable is a big part of all Asian dishes, of course, and it's a very important part of the dish. But the protein still needs to be there in most cases. I think Europeans are more open-minded. We are more forefront when it comes to different alternatives to proteins.
Okay.
We are more, I would say, modern, and we like to be challenged and go out of our comfort zone much more than many other countries are still.
It was difficult for you to do the job over there then, with this European mind?
It's always challenging and it's different, but I think it's extremely creative. You need to be more creative, and the F&B team at Singapore Airlines are really cool guys, and we did. I mean, you need to understand that another thing is that we made. Every day we cooked about 200 different dishes for different routes and different menus. So it's a big production that you're trying to do as much as possible to be fresh. We did some vertical farming that we worked together with to have some veggies and so on. But it's still a long way, because the massive amount of food that needs to be produced every day, they are not there yet to have, let's say, vertical farming for all the food.
Okay, and who are then the clients, the people who are asking for veggie recipes? Is it the Europeans, or are it also the people from Asia?
I would say it's more about the what class you're flying in. I think that people in first class and many in business class are more open-minded to alternatives. When it comes to economy class, there are not much to choose from, actually. I mean, you can choose a vegetarian menu as a supplement when you order your ticket, but usually I think people in business class are more open-minded, and they are thinking about the wastage, the sustainability, and those people are more open-minded to have more veggies and less protein in the meals.
And in the choices of the people, we are now at 30% or less or more?
I would say 20% of the customers are thinking more about what they are eating and their eating habits, how they can affect, especially if you're a business traveler and you travel a lot. You know you can't eat too heavy food on your flights. You're trying to eat light. You're trying to eat much healthier and absolutely more veggies.
Okay, and in your experience of the last years, did you see a change? Did you see that something is changing?
Absolutely, it's changing, and I think it's a. I would say it goes from 0 to 100 in a very fast time, and there will be a lot of changing in the coming years because people are more accepting plant-based alternatives, especially in Singapore, and Singaporeans are very open-minded to alternatives on that, and especially females. I would say out of the passengers, 80% of the females are using plant-based alternatives to men. Okay,
interesting. So I'm going to Ina now. You are a change maker. Right? That's what you explained to us in the beginning. Changing the world, what does it mean for you?
Well, thank you. I have always felt a strong connection with the world, and I've always felt the need, the urge to make an impact on an ecological level. And when I was younger, I used to be very radical in this, but over the years, I have felt that people are more keen on changing their behavior if they see how others do it, and most importantly, if they learn why others do it. So I started leading by example. And my way of life is very focused on sustainability in general. As I said, I'm working for Too Good To Go, a company fighting food waste. And this kind of ecological mission was mandatory for me when I started my job. But then again, also my personal life, my clothes, my bathroom and kitchen equipment, everything, a lot of things that I do are quite sustainable. And how do I how do I make people change their behavior is by reading about it a lot and making changes in my own life. And then I notice a lot of people start asking questions, and when I start telling them, explaining them, and in discussing this choice of mine, I see that I can change their behavior or leave an influence, maybe just plant a seed in the mind of others. And that's, for me, this is a very important part to start change and start behavioral change.
Okay, thank you. And do you think that the initiative of Luxair is a change maker?
I think offering plant-based food on an airplane or in a train is a very good way to start. As I said, planting a seed in the minds of someone else, in the minds of people, is a very important part of behavioral change. And this can feed the interest of the participants, the passengers, but also their awareness. I think a plant-based meal will not compensate the emissions of a flight, but it's nice to do something and to have something to stand on. And I also think it's very useful that vegetable menus take a prominent spot in the transportation industry, because this is a link I have never seen before, that it was never this, has never taken such a prominent spot in this industry. So this feature is of course change making in that way. The this way, people who always eat meat or fish get to know plant-based meals better and may lose their assumptions on these, because there are also a lot of assumptions on these kind of plant-based meals.
Yeah, that's true. And yourself, you are eating plant-based food when you're traveling?
That's a good question. I actually am a vegetarian 50% of the time, and the other half I always eat plant-based food. So yes, also when I'm traveling, this doesn't really change. And veggies always play the most important part in my meals. And then again, I travel very light, and I have taken 2 planes in my entire life. So I'm not really the right person to ask if I eat plant-based food when I'm traveling by plane. But by train, yes.
You're not the best client for Luxair then.
I guess not.
So, but do you think that the young generation is more open? We are talking about it already before, that ladies are more open for it, but is also the young generation more open to make these choices to go to more plant-based food?
Are you still there? Okay, I think yes. The younger generation, I think, yes, we are more open to this. I think, as Dragan also said, the change is coming, and young people, I feel they are taking really responsibility and start being more hands-on. Most youngsters, I think, they actually believe there is a problem, and although they don't always act upon this, I feel the shift is coming from the young people as well.
Okay, thank you. And in your dreams, what would be the ultimate wish for onboard food?
My ultimate dream, okay. So I dream of a plant-based food when I'm traveling. I dream of it also that it becomes more accessible for everyone and less the weird option, the less chosen option. And I hope this initiative with Luxair can show traveling people that plant-based food is not just the normal dish, but without the meat, and there's a bland salad, but it can also be very tasty, and it's also a normal option to choose.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's my ultimate wish for onboard food.
Thank you so much, Ine. So a question to you, Charlene. When you are doing such a step in choices and to give the possibility to the clients, is communication important around it? Because if the client don't know it, it's a little bit going.
Yeah, it's important, because when we start really to work around vegetables and fruit with you and the caterers, we had to learn how to cook them in a way that were attractive for everyone. That's where we had a big step to do, and we had to communicate about it. Also to show that, as Ine said, it's not only it's an option that you can. It's not a lesser option than the protein, and we had to explain that we were doing seasonal menu, that we were changing it a lot, that we try to work with a local producer and stuff like that. So and I think more and more the passengers, they want to know what they're eating and where it comes from. So transparency is really important. So we try to communicate about that, and always in a positive way, also for the passenger, because it's healthier, but also for the planet and all the sustainability that goes beyond that.
Okay, and the same for you, Philippe. Did you do something special to explain it to the passenger when you make this step?
Yes, when we launched the concept, we organized a great event with newspapers, local newspapers, radios, and our best customers and our providers, because we changes the dishes, we changes the tray. So we had a great event to explain, to introduce the new menu, to explain it. René and Mario were at that event, and the following week, we put it on board. So people were aware of the change. They had the opportunity to taste it on the ground, and afterward, it was served on board. So yeah, it was very well welcomed.
And what was the message then? What did you say to the clients? We
take the move.
Go totally veggie, or
no, absolutely no, absolutely not. The message was, the world changes, we will change. So take the move with us, and we hope that this menu will be a great moment for you on board. Take a break in the rush. So this was the aim of the change.
Okay, super. And the reactions were positive, I understand. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And Dragan, what is for you the future vision about AirFood? Do you think that a lot of things will happening, or we will stay in a classic? If you say that people in Asia are really in the mind classic, do you think there is a changing coming, or it will stay like this?
I think it's a big change in coming. I mean, this COVID-19 has a big impact in many different ways. I think that it really put focus on sustainability. I think people are more thinking about how they do and what they do. I would say that, in my opinion, plant-based food is actually much better to uplift in airline mode, because in the heating process, or I mean the reheating process, plant-based food always comes out much better than regular protein does.
Okay. Yeah.
That's been tested many times, because the impact of the heating of the plant-based substitute is much less affected than it does to protein. So the end product to the customer, when they had it in front of them to enjoy the dinner or lunch, is always a better quality-wise than when you use protein.
And what is,
because protein is very easily overcooked due to the reheating process, and it can be, different impacts on it. And but what I also think is that our generation is, when they started the alternative protein-based food, it was really crappy. It was not a good option. I mean, I'm talking about 15 years ago or 20 years ago. It was nothing. It didn't taste good. The texture was wrong and everything. But the things that we have now to work with is exceptional and extremely good quality protein-based. And I think that more and more, and especially the younger generation, is really up to it. My daughter is vegetarian / vegan at home, so I'm suffering from it every day when I have to cook for her, because it's really put me in a different spot. I need to be very creative to do some sustainable, healthy dish for her. And I learned a lot from her, actually, and she's 15. So all of my experience, it doesn't worth nothing.
What is your best recipe, plant-based recipe, Dragan?
Best one?
Which recipe she likes the most?
I mean, she eats most of it, and yeah, she's a nice person.
But do you have a recipe on board that you can say that when we make this one, people are always happy in plant-based then?
Oops. If you consider the Indian continent, for example, many Indian dishes are actually vegetarian, and Indians are used to eat vegetarian food. So to implement protein-based alternatives instead of meat, it's not so difficult. It's much easier because they accept it and they understand it. I know, for example, that here in New Zealand, they used to have the burger that they had on flights with a great success, but that the part of the meat company, the government-owned meat companies, was challenging them and told them that they can't use it anymore because the lamb industry in New Zealand is so strong, and it did have an impact or could have an impact on the export on lamb and venison. So that's another issue. Who do we actually compete with?
Okay. So, René, I will give you the same question. Which one is the most creative plant-based recipe you had made on board for Luxair? Quel est le plus créatif plat en végétal que tu as fait pour Luxair?
Pour Luxair, je vais te montrer les photos, comme ça c'est plus facile. Ouais, parce que franchement, ouais, voilà, je sais pas si on voit comme ça. Ah, peut-être qu'on voit rien du tout.
On voit quelque chose, mais c'est pas clair. Non.
Pas
non,
clair.
mais Mario, toi tu peux peut-être, Mario, you can maybe give us some more information about it. Which was his most creative creation?
Le céleri pomme. Tout était créatif en fait parce que c'était le but.
Quel est le plat que tu as eu plus
de plaisir à faire?
Les clients ont eu plus de plaisir ou que Luxair a eu plus de plaisir, ou qu'est-ce que tu penses?
Moi, je pense que en travaillant comme ça sous les saisons, il y avait des plaisirs à chaque saison. Chaque saison, c'était chaque fois des produits différents, donc c'était un plaisir. On peut pas dire qu'il y avait un plat qui m'a marqué plus que l'autre. Je pense à un ensemble qui était intéressant.
Okay.
So for René and I, it's very difficult because I mean, all the dishes for us. Maybe it's a question we should ask to Philippe.
Yeah.
Maybe say which one.
Yes, I will come to support René. Yes, definitely it was a big change for us. You know, so whatever the menu is, it's a change. It's something new. It's something fresh. And I agree with Dragan when he says that businessmen just want to eat light and healthy. And the proposal made and the menus developed by Mathieu and Mario were the answer to that question. So I guess that everybody had a good surprise and they enjoy eating plant-based meals.
Okay. And what was your preferred, Philippe?
No, I don't guess. I
don't know why you don't.
Because it's completely different from what we did so far. So the exercise was extraordinary for us. It was a big challenge that you can imagine that we have my executive chef and the head of culinary development were at the restaurant together. So they were traditional chefs. And coming from the traditional restaurant to the airline is a huge step forward.
Yeah, I understand.
And learning new techniques to prepare, cook plant-based meals is something extraordinary for us. So we were like kids in a toy store, you know. What is? Oh, this is explained. Oh, this is explained. Nice. And how do you prepare this? So it was really, really, really a nice challenge, a great experience, and we loved all we served to the passengers. You can imagine a cheese without any milk or anything, animal protein in, but it looks like cheese and it tastes like cheese. Exceptional.
Ouais, c'était vraiment pour moi le plus beau souvenir, c'est que c'est le client, c'est le passager qui te téléphone et qui te dit tous les biens de ce qu'il a pensé des repas. On a eu plusieurs businessmen qui nous ont téléphoné en direct. C'est exceptionnel ce que vous avez fait. Donc pour moi, c'est ça que je vais retenir de Luxair. Et pas un plat, c'est un ensemble de tout. C'est une équipe, c'est aussi le travail qu'on a. Aujourd'hui, c'est tous des amis. On a vraiment, c'était comme tous des confrères, mais on a tous travaillé ensemble et il y a une amitié qui s'est créée qui est exceptionnelle. Et c'est ça aussi le projet, la beauté de ce projet.
Yeah, there's not one dish that come out as like one best dish. I mean, they were all just amazing, but the feedback, the direct feedback we got from passengers calling us directly, saying like, "I've never eaten like that. It's just mind blowing." There were some chefs that traveled, international chefs, and they said, "Look, I've been flying first and business class around the world, and I've never seen something like that." These are the things that touch you the most, and this is what shows that actually what you showing and working together with Luxair to do for the passengers is rewarding, and not just the food, but also the friendships that are created with Luxair. It's not just business friendships; it's real friendships. It's like enriching on all levels.
So I have a last question for you, René. What can we do better? Qu'est-ce qu'on peut encore faire mieux?
Je pense qu'on peut encore faire mieux. Maintenant, nous, c'était sur la classe de business class. Je pense qu'il faut aussi, et peut-être que c'est plus facile sur la business class parce que les gens sont peut-être plus ouverts, j'en sais rien. Je pense qu'il faut peut-être aussi travailler maintenant sur tout ce qui est aspect la classe économique. Il y a certainement du travail à faire là aussi. Je pense qu'il faut continuer à mettre le végétal en avant, trouver les astuces qu'il faut. Mais pour moi, je pense qu'il y a un futur dans le végétal, non seulement dans la conception du végétal, mais aussi dans le rapport économique que le végétal peut aussi, au niveau des compagnies, etc. C'est quand même plus intéressant au niveau des costs, au niveau des légumes, de pouvoir créer quelque chose qui peut être aussi bien qu'un repas traditionnel. Mais je pense qu'aujourd'hui, il faut vraiment oser, et on le sent que ça change parce qu'il y a quand même beaucoup de jeunes aujourd'hui qui ont envie de changer. Moi, je le vois dans le taux de fréquentation des restaurants. Ça fait depuis le Covid, depuis que ça a commencé. Je disais, on a souvent des jeunes entre 25 et 30 ans. C'est la moyenne de notre clientèle aujourd'hui. Avant, on avait une clientèle de personnes âgées. Aujourd'hui, on a une clientèle de jeunes. Donc, ça veut dire que, puisqu'on est réputé pour ce problème du végétal, donc ça veut dire que maintenant, il y a quand même un engouement de la part des jeunes pour le futur, se nourrir beaucoup plus sainement, de faire un équilibre aussi entre les protéines et les vitamines. Le corps il a besoin de beaucoup plus de vitamines que de protéines. Donc voilà, c'est juste de trouver l'équilibre qu'il faut. Exact. Chacun trouve son compte aussi. Maintenant, on ne peut pas imposer, c'est certain qu'on ne peut pas imposer, mais il faut quand même, voilà, de plus en plus, nous, on va aller vraiment vers ce but de dire 100% végétal et faites une expérience, de pouvoir dire, après avoir mangé 100% végétal, c'était de la gourmandise, que le végétal, ça peut devenir une gourmandise, comme un repas traditionnel.
It's clear that René is convinced about the message. Mario, you can give it in a short way.
Okay, so René is very passionate, so he just all that goodness comes out. So basically, the question was, what else can we do? So we've touched business class with Luxair. I mean, you touch a good population, but I think the next step would be going into economy class. Not just because you touch a lot of more people. If you want to show the way forward, the message goes further and broader. Also on an economical scale, I mean, the impact of vegetable, botanical-based cooking is economical, also interesting. And over time, we've seen also now, especially during the COVID times, that the people that are interested in this kind of changes is a lot the future generations, the youngsters. They are so open to it. They are willing to change. So I think there's still a good way to go forward.
Okay, Charlene, I will ask you the same question. What do you think we can do better on the Thalys project?
Yeah, so I think for us it's to be even more local, to work with even more local producer. It's complex because we have high volume, as I was saying, and sometimes the smaller producer it's difficult for them to keep up with the volume, but that's something that we are working on, and also to change and to learn step by step how to cook and create recipe with the vegetables and fruits that are attractive for everyone. So now we know that our veggie option are considered as a real option. I say real because a few years back it wasn't. So now we need to keep the creativity and to work on how to prepare the meals and everything to be even more attractive and to have a even higher ratio of veggie options, and even go to vegan sometimes even more if we can. Yeah.
Okay. Dragan, the same question to you. What do you think we can do better?
I agreed on the economy side that to have a broader audience or broader passenger spectra, I think economy is the way when it comes to drink. I think I think that what needs to be done is to be more transparent to the passengers and to tell them maybe way before or when they buy the ticket that this dish that they're going to have for lunch or dinner or whatever, it's going to be such and such with focus on vegetarian and so on, to give them a sense of being part of the development of the whole idea. Because if you travel, let's say you fly for 5 or 6 hour flights, the only thing that you're looking forward to in economy class is actually the food and the disruption of having your meal and your food. And you don't want to get surprised by a plant-based dish if you're not into it or you don't understand it. I think that to communicate to the passengers, it's important part of the development to go plant-based or more veggie option. I don't think that nobody would ever say I don't like it or I don't want it. They just want to know beforehand what they're going to have when you do that. I would say drastic changes, especially for economy.
I think it's a good proposal, but sometimes it's also in the name. When I see when you say to people you will have a veggie or a vegan recipe, they say, well, I'm not veggie and I'm not vegan, and that's, I think, a pity, because the food is good, it's fantastic to eat it, but we have to give it another name, maybe. What do you think? Who wants to give a comment on this?
I think you're absolutely right on that. I think that we need to be more creative when it comes to explanation of the dish or on menus. I think that we can be extremely creative when it comes to restaurant menus. Why aren't we that creative when it comes to airline or menus? Usually it's very short. Then it's a single line. It's very, I don't know why. I can't explain. I'm not into communication. I don't know, but maybe somebody who is more into communication can explain that. But we need to give them the proper layout and the proper frame for it. 10 would be great.
I completely agree with Dragan. We made the decision to present the menu as it's done in a restaurant. So it's not just vegetable, it's, I would say, the eggplant with I don't know what. And at that moment, when the dish arrives, you know what you are eating. Or you know what you want to seek in the menu. Which taste? What are you looking for? And this is very interesting. And I agree. It's not just vegetable. It's
A creation.
zucchini, I don't know what, tomato.
A combination of tastes and like in the normal gastronomy.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, the last question for Ina. If you have all this information and you heard this, is this now, you think, the beginning of this big change? Is this what the younger generation and the future wants?
Yes, I think it can be. As Philippe and Dragan said, it's very important to communicate very good about this and like don't distinguish two meals and by saying this is the one with beef and this is the one without beef, but say this is the one with beef and this is the one with pickled cucumber and hand-picked tomatoes, for example. Then people will be way more eager to eat it. And if you're transparent about this, like when we talk numbers, why are we doing this? Why are we introducing these plant-based meals? Because 1 kilogram of beef, for example, is 15,000 liters of water, and this meal is like only 1,000 liters of water. I think we can show people very clearly why this change is made and why they can do the right thing. So if we can focus on these positive things, like if you choose this plant-based meal, which is very good, by the way, we can help, we can make sure not so much water is wasted. And this way, people will start talking about their experience, will become more aware and spread also this awareness. So as I said, when a seed is planted, it can have very nice consequences.
Yeah, and that's then what we have to do in the beginning before they go on the plane, because when the meal is on the plane, it's too late. It's prepared already.
True.
So, like you said, Dragan, that's something we have to change or do better, I think. So I want to thank you all for your time and for your experience that you give to the people who were with us. And I hope that we can change the world together and do even better than we do now. Thank you so much for the work you do every day. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Frank.
you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.